your friendly neighborhood anti-diet and body shame smashing holistic health coach, certified auriculotherapist, and skin expert, here with another episode of Makeup Free Monday, the show where I give you barefaced facts about skincare and wellness topics to help you build your best life. If this is your first time tuning into my channel, welcome. And if you've watched us before, hello again. I'd love it so much if you'd like this video and share with anyone you may think would benefit from my holistic approach to skincare and wellness practices. And please, please, please subscribe. It helps me so much. Today's episode is going to be focusing on CBD, also known as cannabidiol. And I have a very special guest here today who's peeking in and out, my wonderful husband and cannabis educator, Sam. He's here to answer some frequently asked questions about CBD. And if you have any additional questions, please feel free to put them in the chat while we're live or in the comments, and Sam says he'll come and answer later. So let's get started with some credits. Well, hello again, and hi, Sam.
Hi.
Thanks so much for being my extra special guest today. Why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself and how you got into CBD for wellness?
Well, happy to be here. I'm happy to come back anytime because you know where I live. But so a little bit about me and how I started on CBD. I have a bachelor's degree in environmental science. So I do have some manner of scientific background. I've struggled with ADHD, anxiety, insomnia, some things that are relatively common for most of my life. I've always been a nervous disorder sort of person, and then I kept hearing only a handful of years ago, I kept hearing a lot about, oh, CBD could help you. CBD could do a lot for you. And I tried a couple of products that people let me sample or borrow here and there, and none of them really did anything for me until sometime after I met you. This was mostly during when I met you, but sometime after I met you, I managed to get my hands on a really high quality sample that actually made me feel totally different. I felt relief wash over my entire body, and so then I knew that there was something special about it. But primarily what I learned from that experience was that not all cannabis products are created equal, that there's a big quality gulf in just between different brands, different products, different styles. It's so easy to get duped into buying something that you're told is going to be good for you and really isn't doing much for you at all.
Right, so you just decided to make your mission to spread the word.
So I decided to do more and more research. I started to, look at what the difference was and where I could find it, and, I don't know how to explain it farther than that. It became a journey in learning as much as I could about it. And then I realized, somewhere along the line, that my knowledge of it could actually help other people have a similar sort of epiphany that I had. And so that's why I'm here doing this in the capacity that I am doing it.
Yay. Well, I'm glad that you took that journey. And so for those of the viewers out there who are unfamiliar with CBD and what that is, can you tell us a little bit about what it actually is and how it works?
Definitely. So CBD stands for cannabidiol. It's one of more than 100 active chemical compounds that you find naturally in the cannabis family of plants, in hemp, which is generally non-psychoactive, and in cannabis in general. There's stumbling over my words. I'm so nervous.
That's okay. Take a deep breath.
It is makeup-free Monday. I'm hair product-free Monday, so it's definitely a different day for me. Yeah, so there's more than 100 of these different chemicals, and CBD is just one of them. And your body naturally has chemical receptors for cannabinoids that found in almost every tissue type in your entire body in one form or another. CBD works mainly on receptors called CB2, which you find in the highest density in immune cells, in your gut, and in your peripheral nervous system. It acts on a lot of those processes in the body, in nerves, in the gut, in the immune system. And so when you ask, what does CBD do for the body? The answer is that, in a word, it soothes. That's the most common trend that you find on all of the systems that it works on. It acts as an anti-inflammatory for, even as something, if you have a cream with CBD in it and you apply that to an inflamed portion of your skin, it'll reduce that inflammation. It goes that far. It's an internal anti-inflammatory and a topical. It calms your nerves and it acts as a neuroprotective. So it's really good for people with neurological disorders. It helps. It's very well documented. Like, for example, it's very well documented to help with people that have MS, and people that suffer from other nerve disorders and things that give them tremors.
Well, you mentioned MS and you mentioned inflammation, immune system, and the gut. What are some other issues that people would commonly use CBD for?
The most common things that people use CBD for are generally the same things that people use for cannabis in general, which are things like anxiety, insomnia, inflammation, pain management, and it helps you work on those things.
Okay, great. So how do you take it? Like, what do you do? Is it like...
Thank you for dragging me along on this. So there are different ways to administer it into the body. There are different ways that are formulated. Primarily, one of the ways that you do it is topically.
Internally.
Internally, orally. This is a tincture. It's oil based. The glare is hurting. This is one of the brands that I love, called Whole Tree CBD, based in Oregon.
Here, I'll show them what the oil looks like. So it's your typical.
You find it, different formulations do it different ways. Like a lot of tinctures, you can find it suspended or infused into a coconut-based oil. This one, I believe, is Carissa uses hemp seed for her Whole Tree, I believe.
I'm reading. Nope, it's an MCT.
Oh, it isn't. Okay.
Yeah, it's a MCT oil. Yeah. So that's a coconut oil. So that works really well.
There are companies that use hemp seed oil, but MCT is one of the most common ways. It's also generally very effective because it takes well to the body.
From an herbalist standpoint, both hemp seed oil and coconut oil really help with facilitating the ingredients into the digestive system. So both of those oils are great carrier oil for internal consumption.
And you can also, another way that you can do it is topically. Topically is the way of choice for people who have pain issues, especially if it's localized. If you're somebody who's maybe had a few injuries on their knee and you have some chronic knee pain, applying CBD topicals to you, applying CBD topically to that will help that area.
Great. And they have things like gummies and lozenges and all of that stuff.
Yes, they
too. Is that better or worse than taking it from a tincture, or what's your experience with that?
A lot of it depends on preference. I find, gummies are a great way to get CBD into your body. They also can be quite powerful because it's an easy way to get a lot into your system at once. But your mileage may vary, but I also find that gummies are sometimes less cost effective if you're looking to have a long-term supplementation and not just a once-in-a-while thing. Something like a tincture might be better for you. You place a little bit under your tongue and let it absorb and then swallow, and then it's in your system.
Because you can get a really good tincture in the, like, $70 range.
Yes.
So
these ones that we sell at our shop are $65 for a bottle of 1,000 milligrams.
So that's really, really good. And we can talk about milligrams later. I don't know if we're going to get to that in our talk today, but we'll do a future episode about serving size and all of that fun stuff. So we have a question in the chat about mint or flavors and flavors in the in the tinctures. Is that a thing? And
yes.
Yes, it is a thing.
Many, it depends on the company. Different companies will have different flavors, but these ones that I sell do come in peppermint. In fact, this is the one that I have here in my hand.
And we actually have a new one coming out soon, top secret, not so secret. We're going to be bringing in one with an orange vanilla flavor. So stay tuned for that launch. We'll be talking about that in the near future. I'm really, really excited about that one.
Me too. I'm excited to take a look at that.
Yeah. So, on the topic of tinctures, what's the difference between something that's full spectrum, broad spectrum, or isolate? Because those are three words that you see on bottles a lot.
You do. You always talk about, you hear each of these products talking about their spectrum. What does that mean?
What's a spectrum?
What is a spectrum? The spectrum is, like I mentioned, how CBD is just one of many constituent cannabinoid chemicals. CBD is just one of them. When you're talking about the spectrum of, spectrum, full spectrum is you get, yes, the CBD is the focus in your tincture, but they also have they have the entire spectrum of cannabinoids in the tincture as well. You're getting all of the constituent cannabinoid chemicals, which science shows help compound the effect. Your body latches on to the CBD better when all of the chemicals are present in some degree. But that also includes tiny amounts of THC. And so some people, depending on, if you get drug tested, et cetera, some people can't have full spectrum because that tiny amount of THC, while it isn't enough to be psychoactive or to get you stoned, it can be enough to make you test positive on a drug test, which is a big problem for a lot of people's employment. So that's something to be aware of. And that's when you look at things like broad spectrum or isolates. Broad spectrum is more of the cannabinoids, but not all of them. Some of them are omitted. They can do that chemically. Mm-hmm. And then the isolate is where they use a process to isolate the CBD. It's, for all intents and purposes, it's just the CBD in the tincture. And that can be, for certain ailments, that's really all you need. For certain treatments, for certain supplementations, that's really all you need. And it's also safe, 100% safe if you're worried about being tested by your employer or your state or
whatever,
what have you.
Right. So, with that, so the full spectrum, how much THC does it have in it?
There is a legal definition for that.
Okay.
In order for a tincture to be sold over the counter, as in not a dispensary, the product can only contain 0.3%. It can only be 0.3% THC by dry weight.
And so that was established by the Farm Bill, right?
Yeah, in 2018.
I think
was when they most recently changed it.
Yeah.
I want to say that that's the year that it happened.
So CBD seems to be everywhere right now, right?
It's like in everywhere.
It's in everything. There's commercials on TV, but there's a lot of shady companies around. I mean, we've all seen the Facebook ads and the Instagram ads with some pretty sketchy sort of looking supplements, at least to me. I don't know, maybe they're good, but I can't really attest to that. But how do you know what to look for? What do you look for when you're looking for a good CBD supplement?
And this is the really hard part, because there's a lot that companies are not obligated to divulge about their product. One of the best methods to know that what you're getting is a high quality product and that it will work for you is doing your due diligence, doing your homework. If you can go online, especially on your favorite company's website, look for a certificate of analysis, because every single one of these products has to go through a lab to test that their products are safe and free of contaminants, and also check that the active ingredient, their active chemical numbers are within, correct ranges, and
what's in the bottle is what they
what's,
say.
What's in the bottle is what they say it is. And look at that certificate of analysis and looking up the lab that it's from. You see if you can find the money that you paid for it. It's not money that got paid to have that test done. It's not always easy to do, but
because there are some shady labs out there.
There are some shady labs out there. You can usually, I don't know, I can kind of tell. You can read between the lines on those certificates, and it'll tell you. One of the things that I always look for is if your certificate is more focused on what it doesn't have in it. Oh, it doesn't have arsenic. It doesn't have this. That's all well
great.
And good, but you're not telling me anything about what's actually in it.
Mm-hmm. And this is one of the services you offer, right?
This is one of the services that I offer. If you have a product that you're not sure about, you send me as much information as you currently have on it, even if it's just a picture of a label or a brand. I can try and look up and see what I can find. What I don't find is sometimes more interesting than what I do find. One of the things that is a big red flag is that if the certificate of analysis is almost impossible to find, that's a red flag. If a company readily puts certificates of analysis out on their website and you can just click a link and have your PDF right there and look at it, that's a good sign, because they feel like they have nothing to hide. The hardest you should work for that certificate is calling the company and asking them to email you one. That's the absolute hardest you should have to work to get one.
That's great information. So before we sign off today, because we're running a little long today, is there anything else that a beginner for CBD needs to know before they start taking a CBD supplement?
Is there anything that you generally need to know? Know as much as you can about your product. And the first thing, there's that. Always know as much as you can about the product that you're holding. But then when you actually start taking it, understand that you might not necessarily feel all of the results that you want to have immediately. It might take a while. CBD does take a little bit of time for your body to get acclimated to having it regularly if you're doing it in supplementation. For topically, it'll mostly work
instantly. Or close to. I mean, like, it takes about, 10 minutes
It
usually?
activates in about 10 minutes usually. But in the form
I love this stuff. I do. It's my favorite.
It's really good.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Sam. And you have a thank you in the chat. Thank you for the great...
wishes me for the great information. You're welcome for the information.
So one final thing, we alluded to it earlier. Sam has hand-selected a few products that we carry at Mage and Maven, and we're going to be bringing in some more soon. And if you want a free personalized CBD consultation, please contact us. We'd be so happy to help you get started. I know Sam would really love to help more people. And just thanks so much for tuning in today for Makeup Free Monday. I've been Melissa, and this is Sam. And join us in 2 weeks on May 2nd at 4. I'm going to be talking about acupressure for springtime allergies. You're not going to want to miss that one. So have a great week. Don't forget to hydrate and take great care of yourself. Anything else you want to say?
I don't.
No? No? You good?
I'm good.
All right. Bye.